and I think we've actually touched on this, so we might go through this one relatively quickly, but this thought of staying ahead of the competition. So, competition is stiff. There is, a lot of brands potentially competing for various audiences' attention. Comparatively few brands have the luxury of, having the consumer to themselves. So how do you do that within your teams and your organizations? What is it that you're doing to actively, I guess, stay ahead of the competition, but also not be blinded by the competition? Because you obviously don't want that to be the dominant thing that's guiding what you're doing. You want to take a slightly more balanced view, I'm guessing. I'll come to you first, Patrick, on this one.
On competition and differentiation specifically, Chris, is that so the core?
Yeah, on staying ahead of the competition and how you differentiate from them. So how do you make sure that you're, I guess, evolving the way you approach your marketing, the way that you harness your data and other opportunities that present themselves to stay ahead of the competition? So I guess there's one eye that you have to have focused on the competition, what they're doing. The other eye is focused on what are the innovations coming down the pipeline, and how do you find the right space and an opportunity for you to play in?
Know thyself and know thy customer, and you are not going to get ahead or stay ahead of the competition if you don't actually know what it is that you're trying to build. Competition can be incredibly distracting, and they can be really frustrating because they can be incredibly good at what they do. They usually are, right? And that's great for customers. But if you're perpetually only looking at the competition, you'll follow suit. You'll become a replica rather than a leader in the field. So keep an eye out for them, but you shouldn't be spending all of your time obsessing about them. However, it should really hurt when they get it better than you. And I think that's an important spirit to instill in the teams. You need that hunger, you need the drive, you need to want to be better than the competition. And the way that you do it is not staring at the competition, but the way that you do it is really understanding instinctively what it is that you want to build, and then knowing your customers and seeing how those two things align. And then I think importantly within tech, it's you have to do two things, but you have to balance it out well. You have to do new things. So you have to build new product features. You have to sometimes try something. You have to build something that hasn't been built before, and you have to take a bet. But you can't do only that, because you also have to iterate. You have to take your existing products and you have to be religious at improving them. But if you only iterate, you also don't advance, and you sort of stay where you are. You're doing one thing exceptionally well, and your competition will catch on. So balancing iteration with innovation, I think, is something that organizations struggle with to some extent. And you might go through cycles where suddenly it's all about innovation, building new things, and then you drop back to iteration. And you sort of, as leaders, I think also need to be just wary of that and making sure that when you're innovating a lot, you're actually still focusing on improving existing products. There's always the new shiny thing. And you need to make sure that the focus is balanced. But back to your point, staying ahead of the competition is really almost getting ahead of where you want to be, and being religious about that, making sure that people know what that is and they can trust you for it.
So I guess what we're saying here is that, being super clear and focused on what your long-term sort of macro strategy is, what your North Star is, and then not allowing yourself to be too sort of hoodwinked by potentially what the competition are up to or what the latest fad is in terms of tech or whatever it is. It's, viewing it through that sort of macro.
It's viewing it through that lens. What is my customer value proposition? What is my brand purpose? What am I trying to deliver? And is this, that's an interesting bit of technology. Does that fit within what it is that I'm trying to achieve in the short or long term? If it doesn't, ignore it. If it does, be all over it. And the same way, if your competition is being good at something, that's good. Let that inspire you, but don't let it distract you.